It's, okay, I get it. I get it now. And so, in fact, when he walked over and he saw Honorable Dr. Keselato Forson sitting down, I'm not too sure whether he motioned for him to sort of get up, but he was under the impression that he was going to sit down as his rightful seat.
Right.
And they decided, no. We're going to do a U-turn and walk out.
I'm sure if he had gotten in there, the seats were vacant, he would have sat down and transacted business.
He would have sat down.
I'm still confused as to why we have the military at the dome or the arena, at the conference center.
3FM.
I'm still confused as to why we have them there.
And to put some more flesh on the bones, Johnny, when you were speaking with Honorable Habib Idrisu, he was talking about a lack of representation, and you rightly pointed out that this would not be the first time that individuals in Ghana have been denied representation, but for when it just appears, and you can't begrudge me this opinion, when it appears convenient for us to toe certain lines, to have certain contexts and narratives, we use it conveniently. And for me, throughout this process, it's something I hope we get to revisit. The hypocrisy of power, for me, is what I'm calling it. And it's been very interesting to watch. If you listen to lawyers on this side, they have their position and they'll find a way to come to a certain conclusion, as well as the other side. We have to have a very honest conversation when this is all said and done about.
So the MPs are currently in the frontage of the dome.
I thought they said they were going to their respective
but their offices are across the street, so they are.
But what they said, they were going to sit down and await the arrival of the speaker.
Standing by for the speaker. Well, Professor Kwesi Enim is a security expert. He's speaking. Let's listen a bit to him.
Governed by rule of law, but not rule of law. And that is creating the insecurities and the fear that we are experiencing. Right now, from some of the videos, and you can correct me, it looks like one party supporters are there right now. If other parties also mobilize their supporters, then I think we are going to see something which is not too nice. Now, we know from history, and particularly around the 7th of January 2021, when uniformed people invaded Parliament. We've never really got into the bottom of that. We shouldn't create an opportunity for that to happen again. So my plea is that the broader interest of why people offered themselves to go to Parliament and hopefully to serve Ghana, which for this particular Parliament has not really been the case, should now guide them as we have just about 6 weeks to an election. Raymond, I'm talking about placing Ghana first because we've seen this Parliament pass some bills that are very disturbing. And certainly this conversation is shifting us away from the galaxy, which is posing an existential long-term threat to our country. And this Parliament passed that legislative instrument to allow people to mine in our water bodies. But they also passed that legislation to allow them to flout the traffic rules. And right now, they are behaving in a way bringing our democracy to the very edge and the stability of this country dangerously close to chaos. So what I'm looking for is maturity, discernment, but even more importantly, remembering that when we serve for the greater good of this country. When I speak this way, some of my friends tell me, oh, Kwesi, you are unhinged. Because I want to place Ghana at the center of whatever we do and the decisions that we take. Right now, the larger interest of the state of Ghana and its citizens is in the hands of a few elites who have failed to achieve the consensus towards placing Ghana at the center of their decisions. We need to pull back from the brink. And I am praying that the Speaker places Ghana at the center when he enters the floor or the chamber and makes his pronouncement.
Now, especially when this is happening, you've mentioned one Galamsey in the run-up to the election, which is just is it less than 2 months away, thereabout? Okay, or just a little after, over 40 days. How does that send either signal positively or negatively, one, to the sub-regional community and then the international community?
Well, if I heard you correctly, you know, what is happening, one, is a worry to everybody, both on the sub-region, but also most certainly to the international community. And one of the things that those in Parliament should think about is that the international order has changed, in which were we to get into some misunderstanding or conflict, violent or otherwise, nobody is going to come to our aid. Because in terms of the geopolitical calculus, we don't matter. So we should be guided by what is happening elsewhere. If we continue down this slippery slope, and you see, we've struggled for 32 years to get to where we are. To destroy it, it's very easy. If we are not so guided by what is happening elsewhere, and what is our own grander national interest, then we make the mistake of thinking that, oh, everybody is watching, this is important for discourses around democracy elsewhere, and we are going to fight amongst ourselves. If the fight breaks out, nobody's coming to save us. Nobody.
Okay.
I think we need to be guided by what is in the larger interest of the Republic of Ghana.
If you take a look at how the MPs, on one hand, in terms of both sides, tend to do the interactions, and there seemed to be some level of camaraderie, but then in their posture and communication to the public, they seem to be creating a posture of being at loggerheads, some level of animosity, etc. Do you think it sends some negative signals to the citizenry who could be using this as a premise to behave differently, and so that could affect national security in the run-up to the election?
Well, yes. You know, we've always pleaded for politicians to behave in a manner that does not create confusion in the minds of the followership. Because the masses of followers see on television and then hear all the robust arguments and the shouting and the insults, and they presuppose that that is how politics is done. We never see the pleasant moments and the light-hearted moments where there is joking, patting up the back, hugging, having a drink together, eating together, going to each other's weddings, funerals. We don't see those things. Politics is about and right now the perception in this country is that politics is a game of animosity, of mistrust, of abuse, and of violence. Okay? Right now, with only 6 weeks to the election, what is happening has only fed into these perceptions. Okay? And it would be actually very critical that we move from that point. Even before this hula balloon, the December 7th election was about Ghana's survival, was about doing politics in a different way, was about choosing a new set of leaders who would move us from the catastrophic experiences that we have had the last couple of years to a process or to a period of peacefulness, of economic growth and development, and more stability.
And that was Professor Kwesi Enin, he's a security expert. Go on to the phone line now and connect with former Member of Parliament for the South Tongue constituency between 1997 to 2005, MP for North Tongue from 2005 to 2008. First Deputy Speaker, second Deputy Speaker of Parliament. A great man indeed, a statesman now, the Honourable Ken Dzirasah. Good morning, Uncle. Thank you for your time.
Good morning.
I'm sure you are monitoring what is happening inside your chamber at this point.
Yes, I am.
And what do you think?
I must say that I am totally disappointed by the trend of events and the conscious effort of the Supreme Court to encroach on the territory, the authority, and the independence, as it were, of the second arm of government, that is the legislature.
Right.
You see, there are certain things we must... The essence of separation of powers is that we should hold ourselves in mutual trust and not to encroach on each other's territory. The wording of the Constitution is so clear, and I don't need to overflog it.
Right.
But what I would want to seriously suggest is that in the current state of affairs, this matter will never be resolved. Each side must give up on territory. Now, my humble suggestion, is that, and in fact, I made this statement 4 years ago.
Right.
When the House was equally divided, that it could take just a judicial decision to change majority into minority. So I was advocating and canvassing at that time that this business of describing one of the part of the House as majority and the other as minority, that nomenclature should change. If it had changed at that time, there will be no struggle now having this situation come up.
Right.
But that notwithstanding, I think that if, for instance, Honorable Apenyumake is described henceforth as the leader of government business, you understand? As a leader of government business, it will fall all on force with government, because business will now be channeled, will still be channeled through him. And if we want to still maintain the issue of majority, then by numerical strength, the NDC in Parliament is in the majority. So we could have a majority leader and then leader of government business. Then nobody would clash into each other. That will call for an amendment to the standing orders of the House. And that can be railroaded, fast-tracked, and it can happen in a day. And then the business can continue. After all, they have only 1 month. If I'm not mistaken, we still almost one week out of it already.
Right.
Because by the middle of next month, Parliament will rise for honorable members to go and campaign and contest. So time is of the essence. We should not unnecessarily drag this matter. My second point is this.
Yes, sir.
All those bills that they have lined up, even under normal circumstances, it is impossible to take them through. So the House better create a priority and look out for the revocation of the Galamsey LI and other critical things like considering the budget estimates, provisional budget estimates, and then we are good to go. So that is my humble suggestion. Otherwise, it will be a ding-dong matter. Ding-dong matter. Now, my reaction of the presence of the military there, Speaker can easily say, and I foresee this coming, he can easily say that Parliament, he could come and adjourn the House indefinitely on account of the fact that the military is present, and
right.
is intimidating the House.
Right.
And that would be a legitimate thing. My worry is, why is the military there? Don't we have enough police to, secure the House? Why are they there? Normally, the military is not carved to deal with civil situations as we find ourselves in now. And it is a source of discomfort for some of us, absolutely, that we should see in our House of Representatives uniformed military men as guards. Who and what are they guarding? Who and what are they protecting? These are critical issues that we should not just sweep under the carpet.
Right.
It happened on the 6th and 7th of January 2021.
That's right.
It must not be allowed to happen again, because that kind of thing constitutes misconduct and, by extension, contempt of Parliament. You see, contempt of Parliament is defined is an act that constitutes a disruption of the conduct of business in the House, and their presence clearly is not needed there. So, my brother Johnny Hughes,
please, I'm your nephew. I beg you. I'm your nephew. Now, let me ask you: in your day as Deputy Speaker of Parliament,
yes,
did you ever see the presence of the military in Parliament regularly?
Let me say that the only occasion that a military man will be present is the State of the Nation's address, when the Chief of Defense Staff will be there, and then the ADC to the President, who is invariably a military man. Those were the only two occasions. And to date, that is what the tradition of the House is. Beyond that, nothing like that happens. Of course, if they are invited to a committee of the House, a defense committee or an appropriations committee to deal with the relevant subject areas, that is a different matter. But to offload, several numbers like we see on your screen, that is not tenable. It's not acceptable at all.
Uncle, you have also seen the leader of the MPP caucus in Parliament, Alexander Afenyo-Markin. He came, he addressed the media and asked his people to walk out and wait for the arrival of the Speaker. Sam George, who's MP for Ningo Prampram, says that is disrespectful because in your practice, you actually get seated before the Speaker walks in. What do you say?
You see, let me summarize it by saying that we are not living in normal times when people just arrogate to themselves authorities that they do not have or they do not even deserve. This is the challenge we face now. Everybody is flexing muscles to defend a territory. And I don't know whether it is in the interest of our democracy for us to blatantly ignore rules as we are doing, right from the grassroots to the top hierarchy. That is not a good signal for our country's stability. And it should be discouraged.
Now, today, all eyes will be on your parliament, the parliament that you worked so hard for and you worked so well to serve your people of North and South Tongue. The expectation is that Parliament will not break apart because they are looking at them as the last bastion of hope. Can they deliver? Do you think they will?
This game now, where it has reached, is a game of give and take. But everything now depends on Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I know him, he's a stickler for principle. If I may describe it as a hard nut to crack, positively in this matter. He is a hard nut to crack. What he believes is his principle. That is what he pushes to, irrespective of consequences. And the House is equally divided. So this stalemate will continue until reason is brought to bear on the situation. I am not going to go into the merits or the demerits of the Supreme Court issue at all. Because, as I've indicated somewhere, if I want to, I may fall into the trap
of contempt.
Of contempt. Because the decision is not satisfactory at all. I'm not going to go into it. But then, what I would urge the Speaker to do is to be strong in this matter. He should demonstrate his authority in the spirit of the separation of powers and lead this House. But as I've said, if the military continues to stay there, Mr. Speaker has the right to come and close this House anytime.
I see.
Yes, that is my opinion. My opinion. So those who are deploying the military to go there and everybody knows that even by the presence of the military, civilians are intimidated. So what is the objective? To intimidate the members of parliament, to cow them into obedience, or what? What is the purpose of it? Are we at war? What exigencies now exist for them to be deployed?
Right.
We are looking for them to go to Galamsey sites and help restore sanity there, and so that we can have decent water to drink.
Right.
Not this assignment that they are giving them.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, thank you very much indeed for your time. We're grateful, and thank you for granting us special privilege to speak with you this morning and spend your morning with us. Thank you so much. The Honourable Ken Dzirasah, former Member of Parliament for North and South Tongue, also former Deputy Speaker, first and second Deputy. We are grateful for your time, sir.
Let me just make some little correction.
Yes, sir.
I was my first parliamentary assignment was at Ayawaso West Wogon.
Ayawaso West Wogon.
Yes,
so
I did one term there.
Wow.
And I moved to my home constituency, South Tongue.
Wow.
Where I did 3 terms.
I see. And most people don't know that you are also a member of the Inky fraternity, a respected one at that.
That is so.
You have hidden that from many people and a private legal practitioner. We appreciate you.
But do you know that I am a duly registered member of the Ghana Journalists Association? I
see your name all the time. That's why I'm worried that people only address you as MP. They leave you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A fee paying, due paying member.
I hear you, sir.
The only difference is that I've deposited a couple of and I hope to make it do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for the good work you're doing.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful for your time, sir, Uncle. We're always grateful that you could join us here. All right. Okay. Let's connect on the phone. No, not on the phone.
Already, you know that what he's doing. Why is another already sitting in there? When we were told that the room opens at 8 o'clock, yes. He's already sitting in there. So they are the ones who are going to cause the fight.
Yes. So there. Chief,
so that's the member of parliament for Adaklu constituency, governs Kwame Agboja. He's concerned. He says, why is Arnold Domprey, the MPP caucus's chief whip? Why is he sitting in the chamber when we're told that the chamber will be opened at 8 a.m.? He's surprised.
Yes.
Definitely. And you heard the former deputy speaker of parliament. He expects the speaker to protect parliament and to make sure that parliament is regarded as an independent wing of the government. It looks like everybody has expectations of the speaker.
That's right.
The speaker is maybe in trouble in people's minds if he doesn't act in the way that he's supposed to act. Inshallah.
Or at least the way that they are expecting that the speaker acts. I see also on social media, Ghana Police Service coming under serious fire because of the teeming supporters that have massed up on behalf of the New Patriotic Party. So as we share the visuals this morning on our Facebook page, you would have seen hundreds of people wearing NPP paraphernalia, caps, shirts, and all of that masked up. A lot of you are actually sending messages to the Ghana Police Service on X and beyond on Facebook as well, asking whether or not they had a permit to mass up in a security zone, as one would expect the House of Parliament to be.
Right. Okay. So here, it's some 36 minutes after 11.
Which pending suit was to seek certain interpretation of Article 97. In fact, Mr. Speaker himself acknowledged that on the floor of the House. As a result of his decision, the majority caucus expressed its disagreement with his decision and gave a clear indication that the matter will be pursued further at the Supreme Court. So on Friday, another process was filed by me, and the Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision, determined the matter and ruled, among others, that one, Speaker's interpretation of the law was wrongful, and that the Supreme Court was staying his decision pending the final determination of the case. In other words, his earlier decision to the effect that those four persons, that is MP for Fomina, MP for Aguna West, MP for Suhum, and Amenfi Central, had vacated their seats, was nullified. In essence, we are law-abiding. We have heard that our colleagues say they disagree with the Supreme Court. They've been using unprintable words on the Supreme Court. On Sunday, the minority leader, my respected colleague, Dr. Forson, led the minority caucus in a press conference, whereupon they told Ghanaians that today they will come and occupy our seats by their own proclamation. MPP, our tradition, is a law. Our forebears always use the courts to correct the wrong. Since 1992, our leaders have always used civil advocacy and the courts to ensure that we get the peace that we have today. On top of my head, I can recall the era where we used thumbprint ID cards and we use opaque ballot boxes. All these are things of the past today because of MPP. Today we have a very transparent electoral system because of the advocacy of our forebears. It's out there in leadership. The country is hereby informed that we will not give that lawless platform that NDC is seeking. We will not give them that platform. We will not give them that theater they so aggressively seek. This will disrupt democracy and to destroy our nation. We know there are innocent people out there, innocent Ghanaians going about their business, innocent Ghanaians in the academia, innocent Ghanaians who are struggling to get 3 square meals on the table for their families. We care about them. We understand that there is politics, but we must do it in a civil manner.
And that's Alexander Afenyo-Markin, MP for Futu, the leader of the MPP caucus in Parliament. Sixtus Dong Ulo, producer of Sunrise Morning Show and parliamentary correspondent emeritus, is joining us on the line. Sixtus, good morning.
Hi, Johnny, morning again.
What do you see from around you?
The outside there, once you drive through the main entrance of the conference hall, the Accra International Conference Hall, it's, as we speak now, very ideal, heavy security, of course. You pass through the security checkpoints. I counted about 3 different points before you get into the entrance of the dome that has been specifically designed for this particular sitting. All the other sittings that Parliament will be holding here until the chamber is renovation works on the chamber are done. And so once you go through all of those security checkpoints and into the main chamber, all you see as we speak right now is just media men hanging around, chit-chatting, members from the NDC side seated on the majority side of the House, and they are also chit-chatting among themselves. There's nothing really exciting happening now. You play the voice of the leader of the NDC side, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, who had earlier addressed the press here from this same ground. And so after that address, he vacated, together with the other members, vacated the chamber, and we are still waiting to see what happens. Now, we know that the speaker has driven in. He's not taking his seat yet, but he's around. And the information we picked up just when we touched ground was that there are some serious consultations ongoing. Again, lawyers are engaged, also looking at the decision of the Supreme Court. My understanding is that a lot of things are happening at the same time. And so for the rest of us who are not within the inside, all we can see and do at the moment is just chit-chat amongst ourselves and amongst members of Parliament. Earlier, I also spotted the Honorable Adjoa Safo, Helen's own Member of Parliament. Recall that Helen was asking the whereabouts of a Member of Parliament.
Right.
So let me just confirm, Helen, that indeed I have spotted her. I attempted getting an interview with her,
right,
but she declined, saying that she needed to touch base with her caucus before she could get back to the ground. And so for now, it's all just chit-chatting, waiting for Mr. Speaker to take his seat. And members of the NPP caucus are still not here on the ground.
I see. Now, in terms of the demands being made by the NPP side in Parliament, they say we will vacate the chamber, we will wait for the Speaker to come, the Speaker will call us into a conclave, and if we agree on certain things, we'll come. Have you gotten wind of exactly how they want this to play out?
No, not yet. What I know is that they are not even within the premises. Like as I mentioned, that the Honorable Adjoa Safo, Sarah Adjoa Safo, when she got here at the time, did not know that her colleagues were not here. That is why she came in and had to go back to Job 600 to meet up with them. I have also, however, seen the Honorable Kennedy Ejapong walk in just moments ago, some 20 minutes ago or so. And it is not sure. We are not sure whether they are done with their consultation, what the status of their consultations is, and issues are holding them up, because he also declined to interact with the media when we attempted getting some words out of him. But as we speak now, we still cannot tell whether that engagement that they expect with the speaker is ongoing, because my understanding is that they are not here, but the speaker is here. So as to whether they had that engagement at the speaker's end before speaker drove to the ground here, we are unable to tell for now.
The situation in Parliament now, does it look like a situation of rancor and acrimony and anger put together?
Well, it would be very strong description to give to it. All we saw was the interaction that the majority side, the NPP side had this morning when they came in. But because it's just the NDC side seated here for now, we are unable. We don't see any tense or rancor or any of that negative emotion or expression here. They are all chit-chatting. In fact, they had, some of them had breakfast together out there before coming back in. It may change when the NPP side comes back in. The situation may change, but we cannot tell for now. And I'm sure that we don't hope that it degenerates into any of those strong terms that you have used to describe it. That probably would also depend on how the speaker handles it from his end. I'm sure at this moment, as we speak, everybody is waiting to hear what Mr. Speaker will say, and that would then inform the next line of action by any of the two sides that we have. Mind you, once the speaker gets in, takes his seat, he would have to let the sides be properly, the House be properly constituted, with the NDC side taking its side and the NPP side taking its side. I still do not know whether the NDC side will remain to sit at the majority side, or they'll be moved back or relocated to the minority side, or the other way around. We still cannot tell. All of that we will get to know when Mr. Speaker takes his seat. But we can say that no business of the House can be transacted until that is done.
You and I are used to the terminology in the forenoon. The forenoon is becoming in the post-noon. Covering Parliament, you hear in the forenoon. Now it is becoming something else. And are the MPs worried that the forenoon is becoming something else?
Johnny, I think that every reasonable member of Parliament here will understand the special circumstances under which the House is sitting this morning. And so it will be difficult, or we shouldn't expect any member of Parliament to complain that they are keeping too long and all of that. We all know that it is not everything that will happen today that we will see on the screen. There's a lot of engagement that will happen behind the scenes. And so as we speak now, those are the engagements happening. And not all the members of Parliament will be privy to those backstage engagements. It will just be leadership of the two sides that will be dealing with Mr. Speaker and maybe the Parliamentary Service Board. I'm still not sure about that. But as we speak now, everybody is waiting, anticipated, just waiting to see what the next move will be. But it doesn't look to me as that any of the members of Parliament here is bored or is eager to go anywhere anytime soon. And looking at the size of the breakfast that some of them had, I may just be able to guess that they are ready to be here till night if the need be. But it is important that they get this issue sorted out. The House gets this issue sorted out, constitute itself properly for the business of the country to go on. Because without that, no business can happen.
6-2 Dong Ulo, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Pleasure.
We're grateful. Eric Mawina-Agbeta is in the Chamber of Parliament. Well, not exactly the Chamber of Parliament. They're the Accra International Conference Center. Listen to him.
Has always been customary, and that is also expected to take place again today. But we do not get the indication just as yet if the NPP caucus are a part of that particular meeting, which is expected to take place even before the Speaker can make his way to the floor of the House for proceedings to begin. I did reference the order paper, which we had seen a lot earlier, which didn't suggest in any way or form any intervention by the Speaker in relation to all of this parts, which has got the entirety of the country watching with keen eyes what happens here today. What we understand has been coming through over the last few hours is an indication of the fact that we are getting the sense that the Speaker's lawyers are also seeking to head to that same forum where that stay was granted the majority or the NPP caucus, who are, based on that particular Supreme Court's decision, seeking to also occupy the right-hand side of the Speaker today. And so that is what we get. Still, a lot of the NDC MPs seated on the majority side, quite comfortable. No clear indication as to they wanting to move anytime soon. We mentioned that if it was the case that in the morning when both sides or both caucuses were seeking to occupy that right-hand side, if it was the case that the seats were all taken, then there was a likelihood that we could see some of the seats being moved from the minority side towards the majority side for all of them to occupy. But that's not happened. We've heard Apenyo Markin speak to the fact that they will remain in their offices until the Speaker arrives. We've heard Sam Nate George describe that as disrespectful because they are seeking to have the Speaker arrive before they will arrive. But amongst the many things we've been hearing, at least officially from the office of the Speaker of Parliament, in relation to a release which is challenging some rumors suggesting that he had been to the presidency to seek to find an amicable solution to what appears to be an impasse in Parliament. The Speaker's office or Parliament has been reacting strongly to those suggestions and making it quite clear that no such meeting has taken place and that it should be disregarded. That's one of such many letters or releases that's come through from Parliament. In fact, we're also very much aware, as of this morning, of a memo to a department in Parliament seeking to question how the votes of proceedings was made available and presented at the Supreme Court last Friday, which granted the majority or the NPP caucus, and we continue to make the case that between here and now until that final determination, there will be once a while these occasional slips as to being able to officially determine which side is the majority. But
it's 46 days to election 2024. Put Ghana first in your decision to vote.
Mr. Speaker is in charge of this house. So nobody else from anywhere, not even the President of the Republic, can come and direct the Speaker as to how he should run the house. So the Speaker's authority in this house is final. So whatever the Speaker, ruling the Speaker gives is what we comply with. And we are complying with the Speaker's ruling. And we are in the majority, we are sitting appropriately at where we should sit. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't see where there's trouble.
Should we expect peaceful sitting today?
That's why I'm saying that why should there be trouble? I don't foresee any trouble. Because we have taken our rightful place. If they come and take their rightful place, where will the conflict come in? So I'm very confident that we are colleagues, we respect one another. So we should live in accordance with the rules, practices, and orders of the standing orders of the House. So I don't see there should be any problem.
When you look at the chamber, you can see Honorable Anodompe and some MPP members taking their seats in the chamber, and the NDC too has taken over the rest of the seats. What do you make of this?
Who has taken their seats? The leadership on the front bench is occupied by Honorable Tufosin, Honorable Amabua, Honorable Kwame Abuja. They have taken those seats. So where is another person?
That is the Member of Parliament for Sanarigu constituency, ABF Fuseni. Fortunately, he won't be returning to Parliament because he lost the primaries. We'll see you shortly after these messages. Stay with us here on 3FM 92.7. This is our extended coverage of what's happening in Parliament.
The luckiest
star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere for everyone, yeah.
Here's to the friends who dialed star 712 hash and found no regrets. To the investors who struck gold. To the health workers who diagnosed luck with precision. To the tough guy who couldn't hold back his tears. To the passionate fan who couldn't contain his joy. To the seamstress who turned her hard-earned stitches into a bundle of happiness. And now, here's to you. Your next big win is right here.
Luck is everywhere for everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
Dial star 712 hash. Now join in the luckiest winning celebration. Every 1st July 2024. Over dial star 712 hash. Now I can to take it through as a group, individual, and now even as a community. Now we need to prizes are in the community draw or go for the grand draw on the 30th of November 2024. Unlock your luck with star 712 hash. Now join in the winning streak now.
The luckiest
star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere for everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
1, 2, 3.
Dive into a world of exhilarating fun, refreshing thrills, and endless splashes at the Marina Water Park inside Lakeside. With a wide array of water attractions, you are guaranteed an unforgettable experience for the whole family. Open Saturdays 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sundays 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Call 0508 598 948 or 0204 775 044. Follow us on all socials at Lakeside Marina Park. Marina Water Park. Love the experience.
The biggest food, drink, and music festival is returning this October. The Eat, Drink, Music Festival is back. Get ready for 2 unforgettable days filled with the best food and drink vendors, top DJs, and amazing musicians. Join us for an experience like no other, featuring world-class performances, a variety of local and continental foods, drinks, and fun activities.
Oh, yeah.
Location, Good Park, Accra Mall. Dates, 26th and 27th October, 2024. Time, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. Get your tickets now on all networks by dialing star 714 star 500 hash. For more information, visit www.eatdrinkmusicfestival.com. Eat Drink Music Festival, the ultimate festival experience.
It's 46 days to election 2024. Put Ghana first in your decision to vote.
So business are expected for Parliament, particularly during its dying days. It does look like it's not just going to be business as usual, and that there is a lot for them to do. Even on the order paper today, if I could just walk viewers through that this particular morning, what we are expecting from the order paper as we have it even as of now is that after the national pledge, which was a part of the new standing orders formal communication by the speaker, and so that's been captured now. The formal communication by the speaker has been captured as well. Correction of vote and proceedings. We're expecting motions on the second reading of bills: the Ghana Boundary Commission Bill 2023, the Social Protection Bill 2023, and then third reading stages of the Environmental Protection Bill 2024 and the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana Amendment Bill 2024. And all of these are expected to be taken today. And so let nobody deceive you really into the arguments that there is no real business left for this 8th Parliament to conduct. Hence, it might not be anything significant if either side of the House should be declared as majority. It does appear that there is considerable work to be done. In fact, there is third consideration of third readings and then amongst many other things as well, a lot more expected on the floor of the House. At the commencement of public business as well, presentation and first reading of bills, which will include the pre-tertiary education amendment bill as well, will come before the House. The free senior high school bill, the free secondary education bill, which the government has suggested will come before them, that's as well expected to be mentioned on the floor of the House today. And so a lot in terms of business is expected on the floor, at least based on what we're seeing from the order paper today. But of considerable notice as well is the fifth item on the order paper, which is a formal communication by the Speaker. That should, amongst many things, have, amongst other things, the detailing as to whether or not the majority-minority position will change. But as well, the budget will be expected to be presented. That will be the first quarter budget for next year in awaiting the next administration, whether it will be an NPP administration or an NDC administration or a new force administration or a movement for change administration. There will be a budget for the first quarter as well. And then there is the crucial Supreme Court 2 nominees who are expected to either be approved or disapproved, really, by this particular parliament. And so critical business, Martin, expected on the floor. And even if the order paper for today is anything just to go by, you should get the indication that there is a lot to be considered, and why, outside of the commentary of symbolism and how it will be symbolic for one side, particularly to want to stake a claim to be it goes beyond that. There is quite serious business on the floor to be conducted.
That's Eric Mawena Egbeta right there. Now, Dr. Tony Edu spoke with us earlier on this platform. Listen to him.
The signal is sent is that the military is on a reckless journey of attempting treason. Treason is akin to Hitler's assault on the Reichstag in the 1930s. It shouldn't happen. And Ghanaians must stand up. There is no supra-constitutional body in Ghana. Only the Constitution rules. And Ghanaians must stand up and defend the Constitution. You cannot assault the Constitution and get away with it. You do that, they invade Parliament, they have assaulted the Constitution, and they are guilty of treason. The signal is sent is that the military is on a reckless journey of attempting treason. Treason is akin to Hitler's assault on the Reichstag in the 1930s. It shouldn't happen. And Ghanaians must stand up. There is no supra-constitutional body in Ghana. Only the Constitution rules. And Ghanaians must stand up and defend the Constitution. You cannot assault the Constitution and get away with it. You do that, they invade Parliament, they have assaulted the Constitution, and they are guilty of treason.
That was the voice of Dr. Tony Edu, former Deputy Minister, former Senior Presidential Aide. Let's go now and listen to Dr. Dominic Ayine. He is a member of Parliament, a private legal practitioner. He had his own views to share. Let's listen to the legal luminary, shall we?
Ordinarily, they should obey the orders of Mr. Speaker that were given in pursuance to his ruling and go and sit on the minority side until Mr. Speaker orders otherwise. But if they decide that they are coming to sit on the majority side, they are at liberty to do so if there's space. No one has bought a chair and brought it to Parliament. So nobody can come and say that I'm sitting on his chair. In fact, the chair I'm sitting on is a chair that belongs to the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. And I have gone to the side of that my previous seat and brought my name tag and placed it on that a seat. So it is properly my seat until such a time as I've said that Mr. Speaker orders otherwise.
Before Mr. Speaker orders otherwise, you have heard the injunction granted by the Supreme Court.
No, the Supreme Court did not grant an injunction. The Supreme Court granted a stay.
That's what I mean.
Now, you see, the order takes effect upon service on Mr. Speaker. Okay, that's what happens. The order takes effect upon service. The question is whether the order has been served on Mr. Speaker. We in the majority caucus have not gotten any information, even if it is from mainstream media or social media, that service has been effected. According to parliamentary practice and procedure, Mr. Speaker has to communicate that to us and say that he's going to comply with the order. If he does not say he's going to comply with the order, we are going to sit on the majority side because the status quo ante remains. That is why we keep emphasizing. Parliament operates by rules and procedures pursuant to our standing orders. And so currently, as we stand, all right, we are not, in possession of any official information to the effect that Mr. Speaker has been served and that Mr. Speaker now wants to comply with the order of the Supreme Court.
Can the Speaker serve you when you sit in Parliament this morning and come to read out to you the service that's been on him?
That is incumbent upon Mr. Speaker to say so. If he does not say anything and proceeds as if service has not been effected, then his ruling stands. We expect Mr. Speaker, to proceed with the normal parliamentary business of the House, okay? And if he does communicate to us that he has been properly served by the court, okay, and that he is complying with the order of the court, then we will do as, ordered by Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker can say otherwise to the extent, okay, that his lawyers are contesting the orders, all right? The law is that a void order, all right, should not be complied with.
3FM 92.7, Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
And if you check your time now, it's 8 minutes past midday. Mr. Sami Obing is the Executive Director of Parliamentary Network Africa. Will join us shortly. The voice you heard earlier was that of Dr. Dominic Ayeni, Member of Parliament on the side of the NDC, and various interpretations have been given, including those who disagree and agree with the Speaker. Currently in the House of Parliament, the other side of the NDC seated. You have members of the NDC seated. The MPP currently have walked away. Well, the Executive Director, if you like, call him the Chief Servant of the Parliamentary Network Africa, Mr. Sami Obing, joins us on the phone line. Now we lost him. Please raise Sami Obing right back on the phone line so we can interact with him and pick his thoughts. And we will try and find out, as we've done with the Honorable Ken Dzirasah, who's former first and second Deputy Speaker of Parliament. Also, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. And then many other stalwarts have spoken to us. Chief Servant at the Parliamentary Network Africa, Mr. Sami Obing, joins us on the phone line now. Good morning, Sami. Good afternoon, Sami. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Johnny. Thanks for having me.
We spoke about this matter about 3-4 days ago. And then you said that you were not satisfied with Speaker Okwe's decision and you think that Speaker Bagwin should not repeat it. But the did not happen the way you wanted it. Now you see the confusion in Parliament. What do you say?
Well, I think that it's unfortunate. We could have avoided this. We have to also blame ourselves as a country that when this first happened under Speaker Okwe, we did not use the courts to clarify, how Article 97(1) GNH can be applied, and we allowed it to be swept under the carpet, and now we are facing it again at a time when it is having more negative repercussions, for all of us. Ultimately, this is a matter that, irrespective of the rulings that speakers are given to it, must be settled in the courts for the courts to be able to have definitive conclusions on what it means, the proper interpretation of, 97(1) GNH. I'm only disappointed that members of Parliament, even as we wait for courts to determine this later.
Right.
Are unable to handle these issues, in a way that makes the 8th Parliament close on a high note. It's a Parliament that started on a very low note, and if we do not take care, it may degenerate even further, even as they come to the tail end of their tenure.
The NPP caucus in Parliament have walked out. They say they will wait for the Speaker to come, hold a conclave with them before they return to the House. You have covered Parliament, Gilbert and myself and Sixtus and many others. Is this the normal practice?
So usually the issue of majority-minority is not an issue of contention since the first Parliament. Always we have known from the very beginning who is majority, who is minority. The numbers are there to show. So you don't have to even fight for your place in Parliament. However, at the beginning of this Parliament, we realized that this issue became an issue. We saw some MPs sitting on the laps of others, people refusing to leave their seats and what have you. So that became like the first case. How was this settled? It was settled by the Right Honourable Speaker presenting his position or the ruling on the matter and declaring a majority group made up of the NPP's 137 plus the Independent Member of Parliament and the NDC's 137. So now that there is Mr. Speaker's communication to the House from last week, and he did not veer into the majority-minority issue, I thought that the members of Parliament could, give us all as Ghanaians the respect that we deserve by just settling in, allowing Mr. Speaker to come based on whatever decisions, whatever communication that he had then, follow the same procedure from the past and provide a declaration that says that, okay, based on my ruling of last Thursday, it means that the pendulum has tilted and now majority is this and minority is that. If we decide to go back to a same old strategy, which is, get in first, occupy the seats first, this would only lead us to chaotic instances. Remember that when this happened in January of 2021, we had to get to a point where the only way that we could settle it was that the NDC folks decided to sit, somewhere, the NPP folks decided to sit somewhere, and then the Speaker pronounced on the matter, and it settled it. If we don't allow the Speaker to come to pronounce on the matter, how are we expecting that this chaos will subside? Meanwhile, there is so much public business that needs to be done in Parliament, and we are all watching them and looking at them and hoping that they will do the right thing, especially also with Mr. Speaker being able to keep the balance within the chamber to ensure that, Parliament does not degenerate.
Now, Sammy, the ultimate concern of Ghanaians is that at this point, Parliament looks like the last bastion of hope. And we do not want a situation where the last hope that we have will also degenerate into something that will be incongruous and will not help our cause as a nation in terms of the federals of our democracy. Should we sit and watch? What can the citizens do?
Well, I don't think that we would lose Parliament as our last bastion of hope. Of course, there are elements in Parliament, the parliamentary actors themselves have a role to play in continuously maintaining the confidence of the people of Ghana in the institution of Parliament and the importance of saying. We as citizens can only speak out when they do things that we have displeasure for. We must show that displeasure. Let us not doubt the fact that parliamentarians are listening and watching and reading comments that we state on radio and television, and those of us who have the benefit of social media, the feedback that we put out there, the things we say to them on the streets when we meet them in our respective constituencies. And when we all congregate around these subjects and speak truth to power, letting them know that, look, we need you people to be able to act properly, for us to be able to have the full benefit of a legislative arm like you are. They would eventually get to listen. And we shouldn't also rest on our oars. You see, some of the issues that came up earlier, if we had dealt with them conclusively, if we are dealt with the Speaker Okoye's ruling conclusively through the courts, maybe filed by a private individual or civil society organization, a member of parliament who was affected, or whoever, if we are dealt with the 7th January misconduct on the part of some members of parliament conclusively by calling people out and punishing them or whatever, and all of the other things that happened in the course of time, if we are dealt with them conclusively by all of us as citizens continuing to speak out to it, by those of us in civil society not going to rest, by those of you in the media also not moving on to the next subject because this issue has become, old, then we would have sustained the momentum and would have ensured that people are dealt with appropriately, or issues are dealt with appropriately, so that we don't have to be going back and forth to these issues, within time. But we are where we are, and at the moment, we only have to ask for cool heads by the members of parliament, the need for them to remember what and how this 8th parliament started, the fact that they were all added them on the fact that they needed to work collaboratively to allow for progress. And yes, we know that elections is around the corner, but they must note that in governance and in a democratic situation, it's not everything that we need to use in winning or scoring political points. The national interest most times must be looked at to ensure that we are all benefiting from the kind of democracy we are practicing.
Are you surprised at how far we have come? In parenthesis, are you surprised?
No, I am not.
Why are you not surprised?
And I'm not because we failed to act on how far we were coming when we saw the signs. Somebody chews a ballot paper, if somebody snatches and runs away with it, if military people invade the chamber, if parliamentarians misbehave during budget reading, if people go to snatch the seat from the first deputy speaker, if all of these things happen and nobody does anything, people will be emboldened. If you are in a school system and then the guy who comes to school late all the time, or does not tuck in, or does not do the proper things, is not dealt with, but almost made to be a hero, then everybody else will misbehave.
The caucus leaders have finished their meeting with the speaker. Hopefully they get back into the chamber. If you cast your mind back to when you were active as a reporter in Parliament, what could possibly happen going forward?
For me, I think that there is a blueprint. The blueprint is that when Mr. Speaker first took the seat and there was disagreement on who is majority minority, when they met, they agreed that, look, okay, for peace to prevail, sit here, I sit here, let Mr. Speaker pronounce on the subject matter, and then we move on. And I think that's what they should be agreeing in conclave, is that for peace to prevail, the sitting arrangement as existed in Parliament as of Thursday last week should prevail. Mr. Speaker comes and he makes his declaration so that we can be able to take it up from where he declares, or he finishes his declaration. Because until that, Mr. Speaker will not be able to come into the chamber to let all of us know what the stance on the subject matter is. And that will be holding the entire Parliament in abeyance. And yes, this may look very pretty for some people. It may look like, success. It may look like, scoring political points. But it's not pretty for the entire nation. And we need to start thinking about the national agenda when things like this or times like these emerge.
Samuel Bing, I thank you very much indeed for your time. The speaker has entered the chamber. I'm sure we're going to say the prayer and then we will continue from there. Today is suited up. Are you surprised?
Sorry?
Today the speaker is suited up. Contrary to what he said he wouldn't be doing, he would be wearing a lot of traditional apparel. Today is suited up. Yeah, with a nice tie.
Well, let's see how that goes.
Wow, Sami, thank you very much. Executive Director of Parliamentary Network Africa, Sami Obing, here on the show. It's 12:20 exactly here on the show. I nearly said sunrise. I'm used to the morning belt, Beatrice.
Indeed, I almost said that.
Let's head to Parliament now. Speaker Bagbin.
Sitting, and I don't. The Speaker's thoughts would be when he entered the chamber and realized that one side is empty.
That the military is on a reckless journey of attempting treason. Treason is akin to Hitler's assault on the Reichstag in the 1930s. It shouldn't happen. And Ghanaians must stand up. There is no supra-constitutional body in Ghana. Only the Constitution rules. And Ghanaians must stand up and defend the Constitution. You cannot assault the Constitution and get away with it. You do that, they invade Parliament, they have assaulted the Constitution, and they are guilty of treason.
Brought to his attention that there was a pending suit at the Supreme Court, which pending suit was to seek certain interpretation of Article 97. In fact, Mr. Speaker himself acknowledged that on the floor of the House. As a result of his decision, the majority caucus expressed its disagreement with his decision and gave a clear indication that the matter will be pursued further at the Supreme Court. So on Friday, another process was filed by me, and the Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision, determined the matter and ruled, among others, that one, Speaker's interpretation of the law was wrongful, and that the Supreme Court was staying his decision pending the final determination of the case. In other words, his earlier decision to the effect that those 4 MPs, that is MP for Fomena, MP for Aguna West, MP for Suhum, and Amenfi Central, had vacated their seat, was nullified.
Let's head straight to Parliament, where the Right Honourable Speaker of the Republic, the 8th Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, has taken a seat. The Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin. Let's listen to him now.
Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
Those are some NDC MPs.
Honourable members, National Pledge. Pursuant to Order 69, we shall proceed to recite the National Pledge. I promise on my honor to be faithful and not honor my motherland. I pledge myself with all my Thank you so much. Please resume your seats. Honourable members, I want to vary the order of business, and we will take next item 6. Item 6 on the order paper, which is correction of votes and proceedings and official report. We shall commence with the correction of the votes and proceedings of the third sitting dated Thursday, 17th October 2024. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3.
3FM 92.7.
Page 4. Page 5.
Page
6.
92.7.
Page 7.
3FM 92.7.
Page 8. Page 9. Yes, honorable member.
Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, item number 5 on page 9. Mr. Speaker, the statement made by the Honorable Minority, the Honorable Atufosi, Mr. Speaker, was in respect of the fact that 4 members of Parliament whose names have been listed have breached Article 97(1)(g) and (h). It was not a mere allegation, Mr. Speaker. So the appearance of who were alleged to have been in breach, I believe that it does not reflect the true statement made by the member, because it was based on the statement that the Speaker proceeded to make to give information that you gave to the House. The Speaker further, in indicating the names of the honorable members so named, their current situations and circumstances were clearly stated in the motion paper, so that, for instance, the President Peter Yakwachi Aka, the NDC member for Amenfi Central, and now an independent candidate. Mr. Speaker, so the statement contains these clear facts, and therefore it's important that they reflect in the proceedings as captured for purposes of correction. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, honorable member for Medina.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I also want to draw your attention to the same item, the paragraph 5, the ending statement, which is majority caucus in inverted commas. Mr. Speaker, I think the true intention will be reflected there when we say that the minority caucus staged a walkout instead of a majority caucus in inverted commas. So if the correction can be made to reflect what was there. Thank you.
I remember
FM 92.7, Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
Is that okay?
3FM.
Yes.
2.7.
From the distance, I can't see. Honorable member you are all right? Thank you. Table office, kindly take note of the comments made by the members. Please cross-check from the records and capture what is on the record of the House. Please, page 10. Page
3FM.
3FM 92.7. Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Somana Kingsford Bagbin is in the seat, and as we speak now, the minority side in Parliament, as in the sitting place of the minority in Parliament, is vacant. The NDC have occupied the majority side in Parliament. The NPP are not present in the precincts of Parliament, which has been, moved away from the Parliament House that we all know, the State House, into the Accra International Conference Center. Somebody says in some more world, somebody walk.
Staged a walkout, but then
is that the military is on a reckless journey of attempting treason. Treason is akin to Hitler's assault on the Reichstag in the 1930s. It shouldn't happen. And Ghanaians must stand up. There is no supra-constitutional body in Ghana. Only the Constitution rules. And Ghanaians must stand up and defend the Constitution. You cannot assault the Constitution and get away with it. You do that, they invade Parliament, they have assaulted the Constitution, and they are guilty of treason.
As Dr. Tony Adu spoke with us earlier on Sunrise, 3FM 92.7. Beatrice, the activities in Parliament, it appears the Speaker has something on his chest that he wants to let
exactly
out.
It's I can feel the energy from him, the way he's seated, the way he's talking. It looks like he's trying to control himself not to explode, really. And I think one of the few first comments he made was that he was going to vary the order of Parliament of the day. And that's something that I was even talking to you earlier when Mawina Egbeta came on and was kept referring to the order paper for the day. It looks like the Speaker is looking at a different direction, perhaps based on what's going on within the House. Yeah, just to ensure that everything goes on well.
Let's head back to Parliament. Let's see what's happening there.
And Order 64.1 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, I note that we currently have a quorum to transact business, but not to take decisions. I want to read the said Article 102 of the Constitution. It reads, a quorum of Parliament, apart from the person presiding, shall be 1/3 of all the members of Parliament. As presently constituted, the numbers definitely far above 1/3 of the members of Parliament. But by Article 104, the numbers are not sufficient for us to take decisions. And I'll quote Article 104. Article 1041 says, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Honorable members, we don't have at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Consequently, in view of the current circumstances, the fact that there is a question on the composition and constitution of Parliament, and having regard to the public interest and the exigencies of the state of affairs in Parliament, I will proceed to, in accordance with Standing Orders 59, adjourn the House indefinitely. That is sine die. I want to quote Standing Orders 59:1. It says, the Speaker may, in consultation with leadership, suspend a meeting of the House indefinitely or for a period determined by the Speaker, having regard to the public interest and the exigencies of the state of affairs in the country. Honorable members, I have consulted leadership and I am exercising my discretion to decide to suspend the meeting of the House indefinitely. The House is accordingly adjourned sine die.
And that was the Speaker of Parliament of the 8th Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Speaker Alban Bagbin has adjourned the House Senate time. This is a heavy one, is it not?
Exactly, it
this
is. It speaks a lot of volumes, really.
Honorable Ken Dzirasah. Let's try and raise Honorable Ken Dzirasah back on the phone line and ask him. So he predicted this. He's been a Deputy Speaker of Parliament, first and second Deputy Speaker of Parliament.
Yeah.
And this that he predicted has happened, actually.
I mean, it speaks volumes, and it really tells you the level of tensions in the House, in Parliament, and also the rippling effects of it, even outside of the House. And I mean, I'm sure there'll be a lot of interpretations into this.
This is not in terms of government business and the remaining business of Parliament, because if he feels threatened, if he feels that the military are in there and the courts are trying to meddle in their affairs, well, he takes a decision and that's it. Yeah. And
I mean, he went through the processes, talked about the orders of Parliament. I'm sure you heard him there. 64, also going ahead to talk about 102, which talked about how many they had. And he went on to build the argument, really, that per Article 102, Parliament had enough numbers. Yet, if you go to 104, not enough to make a decision. And then he went on to also then go to the concluding part of his statement where he said he had consulted, and therefore at that time he was deciding to ask the Speaker, with all the powers invested in him, to adjourn Parliament indefinitely.
This is a big one.
It is a big one.
And nobody saw this coming.
No.
Let's take a break. We'll return after this break.
Big money, money, money.
Want more money, more moolah, more goodie, more sika, or more l'argent?
Yes.
Then win more moolah with 30 Ghana Cedis free credit when you play Game Park's Pick 1 and Pick 4 games for the first time.
How?
Just dial *946# or visit the nearest Game Park agent to play, get your first bet, and win on us with a 30 Ghana Cedi welcome bonus.
Oh, yes. It's all about the moolah.
Win more moolah with Game Park today. Go to GameParkGames.com for more information. Game Park is licensed by the NLA. Play responsibly. Not suitable for persons under 18 years.
Hey, you're grooving hard to these high life songs. Your steps alone.
Of course, with my High Life Cola drink, everything is so smooth.
But have you tasted the tropical flavor?
So refreshing.
Wow, I got my groove on too with High Life Tropical Drink. It's lit.
High Life Cola, High Life Orange, and High Life Tropical. Exquisite drinks.
Brought to you by Sado Industries Company Limited. Quench that thirst and get that excitement for all occasions with High Life Drink.
Hey, but remember, there is High Life Mineral Water too.
Call 0244-991-991. High Life Drinks. Get your groove on.
This advert is FDA approved.
And I guess the question will be whether or not Parliament will, the NPP
It's 46 days to election 2024. Put Ghana first in your decision to vote. It's 46 days to election 2024. Put Ghana first in your decision to vote. It's 46 days to election 2024. Put Ghana first in your decision to vote.
And we'll get into that in a bit. But let's speak to Nanama, who's here on behalf of Game Park. Nanama, what do you have for us?
All right, good afternoon to our cherished listeners. We have the winning numbers for Game Park's Pick 4 and Pick 1 lottery games. The winning numbers for Pick 4 this afternoon is 1396, 1396, and that of Pick 1 is 23. Pick 1 is 23. We'll be back again in the evening to give the evening draw. So make sure if you're dialing *946# and you're getting into the investment business, because Christmas is around the corner.
Thank you very much, Nanama. We're grateful. Let's go now to the phone line and speak with the Honorable Ken Dzirasah, former Member of Parliament for Ayawaso West Wuogon, and also Ketu North and North Tongue and South Tongue. Sorry about that, the former Deputy Speaker of Parliament. Thank you very much, Council, for your time. Good afternoon one more time.
Good afternoon. And welcome back.
You predicted that the Speaker of Parliament, if he feels that everything is not okay, will adjourn Parliament sine die. And he's done exactly that. What? Yes. Did you look into a crystal ball to tell us that? Or?
Well, it comes out of sober reflection and the fact that, as I indicated, the presence of the military on the premises of Parliament has created an anomalous situation. That situation qualifies as described by the Speaker as the exigencies of the time.
3FM.
We are not in wartime. Neither are we in a crisis of the kind which would merit the deployment of the military forces to come and intervene. Obviously, in order to avert any confrontation, the most logical thing that a seasoned and reasoned speaker will do is exactly what he has done. So I endorse, even if I have, probably I don't really have the authority to endorse, but if I were to have, I completely endorse what he has done. Let's just see what the way forward is.
Is that not going to affect the business of government ultimately?
I have indicated to you earlier that apart from the withdrawal or the revocation of the LI on Galamsey and the appropriation bill that will provide provisional estimates for running the government in the next quarter. There is nothing urgent in the House, before the House. All those acts or bills that have been presented would lapse automatically at the end of the term of this Parliament. It is subject to renewal in the next Parliament. In that situation, time does not run against it. So I don't see any challenge at all. Those are the two critical issues that Parliament they have to consider and reconvene to come and consider. That is, having set his concern and his anxiety,
3FM.
the only thing is that he did not say it expressly. But it is clear that the military presence is also a factor, taking into consideration what happened on the 7th, the dawn of the 7th of January 2021. That conduct was unacceptable and cannot be acceptable today. It has not been investigated, and nothing has been done about it. And we are taking it for granted that it is a normal exercise.
Right.
That cannot be. Because the level of respect that one would expect to accord the executive, the same level of respect should go to the judiciary and Parliament.
Right.
Because there are three arms of government that has been guaranteed under our Constitution,
right,
with various assignments and responsibilities. Can you imagine that a team of soldiers are deployed to the Flagstaff House? What would be the basis for it? It's to protect the president.
The president is already protected.
And would they, by deploying this team of soldiers, was it to protect the speaker? Did the speaker ask for protection?
In fact, the speaker's military protection was withdrawn. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And then subsequently, the military invaded Parliament again, and they have been around Parliament, since forever.
Now you see the parliamentary protection arrangements kind expression in the constitution of a marshal's office.
Right.
The marshal's office is headed by a retired military officer.
That's correct.
The rank of colonel.
That's correct.
So Parliament has its own security arrangement approved by the standing order.
Right.
And it is in respect of this that they issue certain guidelines, security guidelines, as to the conduct of business for the House.
Okay.
So it was unwarranted, unnecessary. The military was uninvited. They shouldn't have done what they did. Against the background of what happened when Speaker Bagby was about to be
elected. That's
4
correct.
years ago.
Right.
I think we should learn from history.
I hear you, sir. We're grateful. And so now, Obianko Fienkoda, that's what the speaker says.
Yes.
And
what the fallout of this and what should follow up,
right,
is intense negotiations by responsible leadership of the entire country, the clergy,
3FM,
Council of State, and all those institutions that, by virtue of their station in life,
right,
demonstrate a level of maturity in respect of which anything that they say we can all go along with.
I see.
There's always the saying that when two elephants are fighting, it is the ground that suffers.
I hear you.
Currently, there appears to be some kind of contest between the judiciary and the legislature.
Right.
And it is ultimately the average Ghanaian that will suffer.
I hear
ultimately, by not repealing the Galamsey thing, Galamsey deal, what do you want to call it?
I hear you.
We will continue to drink contaminated water, and our food products will also be contaminated. These are unacceptable.
Right. Thank you very much, the Honourable Ken Dzirasah, two-time Deputy Speaker of Parliament, three-time Member of Parliament. We're grateful for your time. Grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll speak to my colleague Alfred Nene Akrofi Okanti, but first, let's listen to the Majority Leader, Kisala Tufosin.
Right, so that...
we don't have Kisal there. Alfred. Hello, Alfred. Hello, Alfred. We'll have to raise Alfred back on the phone line for me, please. If we're doing a predict and win with Honorable Ken Dzirasah, I'm sure he would have won, hands down.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it clearly tells you he's sat in that seat before.
Yeah.
He knows what possibly could happen.
I mean, this decision has taken some of us by surprise, because all of us were expecting that whatever it was, the Speaker would handle the matter and bring some sanity and peace into the chamber. But now he comes and says, I've done consultations, I'm not continuing.
I'm done.
I'm done.
I'm done. I'm not going back there again. This is quite interesting, is it not? And Dr. Tony Edu earlier, he spoke about the military. You know, we're wrapping up this conversation shortly. The Speaker has ended the work for us, so we have to go.
Go home and sleep, like you said earlier.
He says, go home and sleep. Everybody go home and sleep. So Atufosin insists that they are the majority in Parliament. Well, the NPP also insists that they are the majority in Parliament. I'm sure in the confusion of the confusion, Speaker says, okay, we'll be Uncle Fee.
Yeah, when you calm down, we can talk properly.
Yeah, we can talk properly.
Yeah.
Now you people are not calm, so we will not be talking. What you're doing is not demure. It's not mindful. Let's connect with Sixtus Dong Ulo in Parliament for us.
And this declaration, but you are urging us to recognize a yet to be communicated to the House declaration.
No,
so you could see that
to be communicated, but the Speaker said that he was served with the order of the Supreme Court, and based on that order, he said yesterday. He mentioned yesterday.
Well, the Parliament said yesterday.
No,
communication to the House comes from the Speaker on the floor of the Parliament,
which is what
the Speaker said, and that's what they ran away from. Okay. So until that takes place, the existing declaration stands. And Atufosin said, we are aware of the existing declaration. Speaker has not yet communicated any new declaration to us. So let's abide by the existing declaration. If we go and Speaker brings a new declaration, then we see the way forward. Then they said, no. We should change position for Speaker to bring the new declaration that he's yet to speak to us, which you and I don't know. So clearly, Atufosin behaved very maturely. The Speaker is also a statesman. He said he foresaw what was happening. You see, why are we at where we are? Maybe we in Parliament must also blame ourselves. Bedra contested with somebody in Ho West. He lost. The person went to Ho to contest. He lost. Then Anadu brought him to Parliament that this man, parliamentary candidate who has lost election, pass him to be Supreme Court. Then you pass him. He has not even gone to the appeal court. Today, 5 o'clock, you come and give a ruling in Parliament. From 5 o'clock, the MPP leadership said they worked overnight. They didn't sleep. They worked overnight with who? Then 10 o'clock, less than 24 hours of the ruling, they are able to empanel Supreme Court judges, empanel MPP leadership to go and overturn it. How can that be? And when you are doing justice, you are doing it, you must foresee it not just to be done. It must seem to be done. That's why even the uninitiated are all raising eyebrows about the Abba. Didn't the Supreme Court foresee
okay.
it? So and that's why the Speaker has a statement. He's saying that no, I foresaw what is happening. And I knew that this was the confusion that was going to be generated. So to solve this, let's bring the leadership of the country inside so that we solve it. Even if you who claim to be the leader of parliament, together with your colleague leadership, you can't agree here. How much more the MP?
So when you say bring in the leadership of the country, does that mean that
the Speaker was categorical? I heard him mention the National House of Chiefs. He mentioned the Council of Elders. He mentioned civil society organizations. Our democracy didn't just become what it has become overnight. We were drifting gradually. And clearly, you and I, you will testify to me that where we are, this is not how Ghana was. And for this good reason, that the Constitution says before you contest as member of parliament, you cannot be a member of the judiciary and contest. In the same way, we must also not allow politicians, parliamentary candidates to also go and become Supreme Court judges. This is what we have done to ourselves. So we have shot ourselves underfoot, and we are where we are.
Leader, but from this
when you pass the Supreme Court with politicians, they will give you political decisions.
Leader, please
and political decisions will be pursued.
Please indulge me.
That's where we are.
From this
don't let me indulge you. Accept that one before we proceed. So we must take it as a country that we will not pack the Supreme Court with politicians. A politician, why is it that pastors or chiefs should not engage in active politics? So that they will be rated with a certain degree of respect. Is that not the case? And why should we not afford that?
These nominees, leader, they came before the House for vetting. They came through a parliament for vetting, and they went through due process to get that nomination. So is it fair? Is it fair to remove parliament from that equation? Could parliament not have disqualified them based on that if you thought that it was not right?
To have foreseen what has happened. You're taking a decision, if you're a lawyer, before you take a decision to go to the bar, to go to the bench, it's a serious decision you have to take. Well, you cannot be a judge and a lawyer at the same time. So, before you decide as a lawyer that you contest as a parliamentary candidate for the New Patriotic Party, you must know that you can't be there and go and be a judge at the same time. Because for now, this case, Honorable Bejra and Honorable Fodo, who contested with Honorable Gao, are still in parliament. They took a side. Gao's party has brought it before Gao. They nominated Gao to the Supreme Court. They have brought the case to him. How will he rule? The hands are tied. My party, where I contested, which I believe in, is in this side. So what do I do? Okay. And I'm not surprised. So that's why I'm saying that going forward, we in Parliament must be sure that we must not pack the Supreme Court with politicians.
Okay, that point is well made. And also going forward, is there an indication from the meeting that you had whether the Speaker is going to respect the decision out of the Supreme Court and restore to the status quo ante, or the Speaker is going to stick with his own?
The Speaker has not defied a decision of the Supreme Court.
No, I get that. I'm just asking. I get you.
I've received a decision of a Supreme Court. Before I communicate it to you, look at the confusion. Therefore, let's engage as leadership. Then the leadership team, he said, go and let me communicate with you. But he didn't tell us the content of the decision.
But he's made a decision.
He didn't tell us the content of the decision. We are leaders.
Yes.
The Speaker said he received a communication. So we must come and organize the House for him to communicate it to all of us. Then they said, until the Speaker order the NDC to go and sit on the left-hand side of the Speaker, they will not sit on the floor to listen to the communication of the Speaker.
And that was the Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim. He's a member of Parliament for Banda constituency there with Sixtus Don Ulo interacting. Alfred Nene Agrofi Okansi, host of Hot Edition. And Ghana Tonight also. Key points. It's in Parliament for us. Alfred. We lost Alfred again. We'll have to find Alfred on the phone line one more time. But let's listen again to the Speaker's decision. Let's listen.
Honorable members, as you may recall, on Thursday, I informed the House, pursuant to Standing Order 18 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, on the occurrence of vacancies in the House in relation to 4 honorable members. Yesterday, I received a process from the Supreme Court, which is a ruling from the Supreme Court pursuant to an ex parte application directing Parliament to recognize and allow the 4 affected members of Parliament to duly represent their constituents and conduct full scope of duties of their offices as members of Parliament pending the final determination of a suit filed by Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin. By Article 102 of the Constitution, 1992, and Order 64.1 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, I note that we currently have a quorum to transact business, but not to take decisions. I want to read the said Article 102 of the Constitution. It reads, a quorum of Parliament, apart from the person presiding, shall be 1/3 of all the members of Parliament. As presently constituted, the numbers definitely is far above 1/3 of the members of Parliament. But by Article 104, the numbers are not sufficient for us to take decisions. And I'll quote Article 104. Article 104.1 says, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Honourable members, we don't have at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Consequently,
92.7.
in view of the current circumstances, the fact that there is a question on the composition and constitution of Parliament, and having regard to the public interest and the exigencies of the state of affairs in Parliament, I will proceed to, in accordance with Standing Orders 59, adjourn the House indefinitely. That is sine die.
There was Speaker Bagbin there, adjourning the House of Parliament sine die. One of the people who witnessed this in passing is our own man, Alfred Nene Akrofi Okante, host of Hot Edition, also Key Points, and Ghana Tonight. Alfred, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Johnny.
This decision by the Speaker of Parliament, did it take you aback?
Yes, indeed. You can say so because together with the NDC caucus in Parliament, they were expecting a definitive ruling or decision as communicated or to be communicated by the Speaker, and not an adjournment sine die, that is indefinitely. But then again, the Speaker gave specific reasons why he decided to take this particular option, especially because bearing in mind the fact that his office has also been served, and he's instructed his lawyers to respond accordingly and set aside that particular directive by the Supreme Court.
Right.
But I have the Honorable James Agalga, who is a member of Parliament for the Bosa North constituency,
right.
One of the, if you'd say, experienced members of the NDC caucus in this 8th Parliament. Is with me right now. Honorable, appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, for you and your caucus, would you say that this particular decision by the Speaker to adjourn Parliament in a day is one that you were expecting among the options that you had coming into Parliament today?
Well, 3FM 92.7.
I need to point out that the Speaker has the discretion to adjourn the House like he has done. And the reasons for doing so were captured clearly in his own statement. First of all, he alluded to the fact that there is a question on the composition of the House. And what does he mean by that? You know, at the last sitting, the Speaker had ruled definitively that all members of the House had vacated their seats by virtue of the notice of poll, which clearly captures them either as contesting parliamentary elections as independent candidates or moving from independent to contest on the ticket of the NPP, for which reason, Article 97 of the Constitution, he found that they had duly vacated their seats. Then, after the ruling of Mr. Speaker, the now minority, and so to speak, because the Speaker's ruling has not been set aside, led by Antonio Markin, decided to proceed to the Supreme Court and actually obtain an order for stay of execution on an ex parte basis. That is quite strange and bizarre. On an ex parte basis.
What's strange about it?
Well, law, this whole attempt to stay execution of a Speaker's communication is not yet known to our jurisprudence, because the Speaker's communication cannot pass for a judgment of the court. You know, even where courts have given judgments, you must distinguish between judgments that are executable and judgments that cannot be executed. So even when courts have given judgments, a line is drawn. Sometimes when the judgment of the court is declaratory in nature, you cannot execute same. But in this particular case, the Supreme Court has proceeded to stay execution of the Speaker's communication. That is very interesting. Now, the Speaker is saying that, look, in view of the questions which have been raised with regards to whether or not the NDC now constitutes the majority or the MPP caucus in Parliament is the majority, and given the exigencies of our time, he is exercising his discretion to adjourn the House sine die. I think that was a proper step to take in order to avoid unnecessary confrontation and chaos in the House. You know, as the Speaker of Parliament, he reserves the right to take decisions to ensure that there is order and discipline in the House. So, if the actions of members will result in chaos or questions at this stage cannot be properly determined, the only thing the Speaker, can do in those circumstances is to adjourn sine die, and that is what he has done. Effectively, what it means is that members of Parliament would have to return to their constituencies and continue with their campaign
ahead of the election.
But remember that the life of this Parliament is very short. We were supposed to do 3 weeks. A week is gone. We are left with 2 weeks. Going by our own standing orders, if we have to be recalled, it means that adequate notice would have to be sent, and that could be a matter of weeks. And I'm sure,
have just 2 weeks.
I'm sure when we return, Parliament would, somehow proceed indefinitely on a suspension until we are dissolved on the 6th of January when the new government is sworn in.
Thinking of the effect of this particular decision by the Speaker, who loses or who is going to be impacted the most? Because I see the list of government business and the bills that you have to pass into law and the approval of these 2 Supreme Court nominees, also the presentation of the budget for the first quarter by the Finance Minister. All of this, if this is anything to go by, all things being equal, may not be done before election day, December 7th?
Absolutely. But you have to understand that business in Parliament mostly emanates from government. But you saw what happened this morning. The minority led by Honorable Alexander Asenyo-Markin walked out. They staged a walk out. They abandoned parliamentary business in electing to walk out. So if they are not interested in their own business, who do you expect to perform their business for them? So they are simply not ready. I don't think they have any business to transact in Parliament, and that is why they chose to walk out. Now, if the minority who are coming from the New Patriotic Party have decided to stage a walkout, it is their own business which stands to suffer. As for the NDC majority, we are prepared to do business. If they present themselves, and if Mr. Speaker so directs that Parliament be recalled, we as the majority are ever ready to present ourselves for business. But for now, they have run away from their own business, and that is what it is.
So, to the extent that
it is for the people of this country, the good people of this country, to pass judgment. This is a government which is running away from its own business. They don't care about the ordinary people of the country. So long as the rulings of the Speaker, does not suit them, they are ever ready to run away from business. So, the people must pass their own judgment. On the 7th of December, when the NGC was in power, we never ran away from our own business. When we constituted the majority, there was no point in time.
No, they also argue that you weren't confronted with a situation like this, were you?
Well, it is up to them. Look, the precedents have been set and not to be followed. The former second deputy speaker of Parliament seat was declared vacant by the Honorable Professor Michael Kwe in similar circumstances. If you go back into our history, the likes of Professor Wayo Seni, when they crossed carpet, they suffered consequences. That is it. Well, you see, they attempt to use the judiciary to determine matters that are very political in nature, is what is giving rise to all these happenings. It's regrettable. The arms of government are supposed to be separate. We must respect the doctrine of separation of powers. But where one organ becomes overbearing and attempts to direct at any given opportunity what should go on in Parliament, these are some of the consequences we suffer as a country. So it is time the lines are properly demarcated so that everybody knows what Parliament does, and when it acts, its work ought not to be interfered with. But where at any given time one arm of government is intruding into the work of Parliament, some of the consequences, that's what we're seeing now.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Alfred, thank you.
Alfred,
Parliament for the Bosa North constituency, all of the leading members of the NDC caucus in Parliament. Johnny.
And that was a very interesting conversation you had there with the Honorable James Agalga. So now, what are they going to do? Because the Speaker says,
essentially, that's it. And he's indicated that the communication now is that they should all go back to their constituencies and go and campaign ahead of election day, December 7th, which is just some 46 days away from today. And he also indicated that this session of Parliament, which was the last session before Parliament goes on, in fact, before this Parliament's life ends, was supposed to last for 3 weeks. 1 week is gone. They're in the second week, and it doesn't appear that they're going to come back anytime soon. If they are going to their constituencies, if they're going to be recalled, it will take a number of days, if not a week or more, for them to come back. And so it will be safe to say that the last session of this eighth Parliament has ended, essentially, without they doing any business whatsoever, and government business, bills, nominations of the Supreme Court all pending may not or will not be approved, all things being equal, before December 7 elections. Johnny.
Alfred, I'm grateful for your time. Thank you so much, and we expect the team back at base in pristine order.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Alfred Nana Krofio Kansi there. Dr. Kwabena Domko, former Minister of Power and MP for one of the constituencies in the Peru area. He spoke with us. Listen to him.
Yes, I foresaw it. Remember, the 8th Parliament was bathed in confusion because of the tightness of the numbers, 137 with one independent member. And therefore, immediately the Electoral Commission called for filing. I foresaw this situation. Parliament acts on precedent. The precedent said by the 7th Parliament was that immediately you file on the tickets of another party or as an independent member, you immediately forgo your seat. We had it, and so when we started the filing process, we knew this was going to come. What surprises me most is the haste with which the Supreme Court took. The filing by the former majority leader, and in less than 24 hours of filing, the Supreme Court had met and taken a decision. And especially on S-Party would normally come on notice. So when the Supreme Court takes a political decision, it creates this sort of situation. With the tightness of numbers, this was bound to happen once candidates had filed.
And we have to check out of the studio, make way for some reggae vibes. The Black Kobe, Horace Clark. Which means we have to go. Our time is up.
Indeed.
We have to go. Yeah. We have overspent our welcome. And we have to go. We have done our bit. This sound bite is still on my mind. Dr. Tony Edu. Let's listen to him for the last time before we go.
The signal is sent is that the military is on a The signal is sent is that the military is on a reckless journey of attempting treason. Treason is akin to Hitler's assault on the Reichstag in the 1930s. It shouldn't happen. And Ghanaians must stand up. There is no supra-constitutional body in Ghana. Only the Constitution rules. And Ghanaians must stand up and defend the Constitution. You cannot assault the Constitution and get away with it. You do that, they invade Parliament, they have assaulted the Constitution, and they are guilty of treason.
Dr. Tony Edu there. My name is Johnny. He's on behalf of the rest of the team. I thank you very much indeed for staying with us. Black Kobe sits in for Black Rasta on the Urban Blend Show. Is some 19 minutes after 1 here on 3FM 92.7. See you in the morning.